Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am here by myself today in the garage because we are finally going to talk about my car, but we are not talking about my 89 GT. No, guys, we are talking about my notchback. Yeah, guys, I guess I didn't have enough sleepless nights and stress with the blue car, so oops, I did it again. This is obviously a fixer-upper, right? But this was a car that actually I have knowledge of going back all the way to the 90s, and which we'll dive into that here in a little bit. But I really wanted to kind of do a video of the pros and cons of this car, and also talk about my plans of what I really want to do with it. Obviously, the blue car has gone way past the point of ever being stock again. In fact, I've kind of maybe gone off the rails a little bit, but that again is another story for another time. So this car here, this is a 1992 you know, LX coupe, notchback, whatever you want to call it. This car actually has been garaged in this condition for 20 years maybe. Yeah, that's right, I said 20 years. So here's the quick backstory on this car. This car used to be owned by somebody that, a guy that I went to high school with, and this is back in the mid-90s, and then he sold the car to my friend Evan. Evan has been on the channel twice now. He's had the, he has the blue 90 SSP Mustang, and he also had the sage green 85 notch that he did the Coyote swap. So this was Evan's car for a short period of time. He then sold it to my brother-in-law, who parked it in the garage, and besides the occasional drunken, you know, burnout, you know, it just sat there for about 15 years. He then gave it to his oldest son, which is my nephew, and my nephew then took the car home, put it in his garage, and there it sat for another maybe 5 years or so. And, you know, he just finally decided that, you know, with his family, doesn't have enough time, never gonna get to it. He wanted to go to a good home, and it was kind of like a spur-of-the-moment decision. He was going to put it up for sale, and I thought about it, and I was like, why don't I buy it? So I did, after some convincing to the wife that I wouldn't go crazy with this one like I did with the blue car. So, you know, condition of the car. Let's talk about this. Pros and cons, right? So let's actually start with the pros for this car. Pros. I know the history going back to the 90s. I know everything that's been done to it, good and bad. And then you know, it's generally stock. It's still running on the stock ECU. Fires up every time on the first try. You know, it drives straight. No issues that I'm aware of yet. No leaks. So it's a really strong runner. So that's a definite plus. I actually got underneath this car, and it's got full Mac exhaust. We'll show you that in a minute here, but this is kind of a con, but it's also a pro. It's got equal length shorty headers, and I hate those because I'll show you here in a minute why. You know, they're actually almost impossible to install on 9 out of 10 cars because they don't fit right. And the ones that are in here are actually kind of burning the frame rail. So I want to get those out of there eventually, but it's got a nice Mac off-road H-pipe and full Mac catback exhaust, which sounds amazing. And I know Mac is making a big comeback for, you know, all the guys trying to, you know, get the cars back to period correct. So again, another plus. You know, for the most part, I know that there's a lot of like primer on this car. I have no idea why. I can tell here that, you know, maybe he was trying to get rid of the pinstriping, but you know, the car had very little like surface rust, and I don't know why. You know, like, this is plastic. Like, why would you spray primer over paint? There's no reason. But again, 90s, you know, we were young and dumb, and you know, these things happen. So I guess, you know, another pro is the interior. You know, this is new carpeting. It's kind of like a little bit of a blend of the gray with the black. This is new carpeting, and you know, seats are, I mean, beautiful. These seats, and actually both of them lock. You have to actually, you know, pull a little lever back here to get them to pop up. So seats are in really good condition. The majority of the interior is in good condition. I am going to restore a lot of it. You know, it has like the cheaper LX, I don't know what you call those, but you know, the rear seats, but it does have like the nice tweed front seats. So again, you know, I bought all the trim pieces that are missing. I'm gonna take my time and you know, kind of start cleaning up the car and in a sense like restoring it. But you know, again, another pro. You know, it's for the most part it's a very solid straight car. And you know, again, I don't know why there's all this primer on it, but we're gonna get that fixed up, not a problem. All right, so now before we talk about the cons, I think I just thought of another pro, and that was the price. Of course, you know, I got the family discount. You know, I guess the thought process here is, you know, at least it's staying in the family, and I think everybody knows that, you know, I'm pretty particular about these kinds of things, and I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna do this car justice. It's not gonna be a Barrett Jackson, you know, or a Meckham car, you know, auction car or something like that, but I do want to make it a nice driver. I kind of want to do period correct in the engine bay, keep it as close to stock as possible. Definitely running the stock ECU, because I'm tired of these issues with, you know, you turn on the AC and the car stalls, you put the clutch in, the car stalls, you start it up, and you know, you get the you know, the idle jumping and stuff like that. So I really want to avoid, you know, going off the rails with this one. So again, there's another pro, was the price. You know, I got the family discount there. So anyway, let's start talking about cons. Okay, cons, obviously, the paint. You know, this car's obviously going to need a lot of paint work, body work. That's probably something I'll do down the line. You know, there's a dent here. That's not too bad, actually. You know, it's going to need some trim pieces. That's no big deal. But for the most part, you know, there's, you know, the wheels are solid. Everything's good in here. Doors don't really have, you know, there isn't really any rust in here. You know, maybe a little bit of this stuff down here, but again, this isn't like a perfect car. Okay, so while we got the doors open, let's talk. I guess some of the cons are the interior. The interior obviously needs some work. You know, I have all this stuff. You know, anybody who has one of these cars has 2 or 3 of everything. So I've got the door switch covers. I already have these the door handle covers. This piece here is in the back of the car. You know, I got all the bolts and stuff like that to fix this because it's missing a bunch. And I actually bought the LMR cup holder center console, so I'm going to put that in there. But again, you know, so this is going to need some attention. Here's another con, because I guess somebody got stingy and wanted to keep the connectors, so they just cut these. But fortunately, I got the harness for that, and you know, that's not really a big deal, right? So okay, so there's a con. You know, the paint, you know, body work is pretty substantial. The interior is not a big deal. Again, you know, like I'm ordering these. I forget what they're called, but it's like the opposite piece here, like the weather strip piece that kind of pinches the window. Keep the rain out, you know, keep the debris out, and also keep the window nice and straight when it goes up and down. What else? Okay, let's start talking about the engine here. For the most part, it's original. You know, it's got a nice. Here's a pro. It's got a trick flow, you know, track heat intake on it. So, you know, that's, you know, nowadays these things, you know, new are about $1,000. So that's a pretty big pro right there. Cons. Well, you can see it's pretty dirty. Again, I absolutely hate these equal length headers. And I don't know if you could see that in there, but, you know, these things just, like I said, they fit, you know, they don't fit actually like 9 out of 10 cars probably without you beating them with a hammer. And this one's actually touching the frame rail down there, and it's causing that to rust. Okay, so that's a con. I think another con here, let's see if I can maybe shine a light on it or something. There was a leak here somewhere in the brake line. I think maybe it was actually from the master cylinder, and you know, proportioning valve and all those brake lines just got smoked. So you can see on the strut tower and also the frame rail down there, it's got some surface rust. So shortly here, I'm going to be removing all those lines and the proportioning valve, replacing all that, getting it all, you know, squared away. You know, again, not a big deal. You know, a car this age and you know, especially at this price, you know, it's kind of what you should be expecting. Another big thing here is the AC is missing, right? That's not the end of the world, but the person who removed the AC back in you know, back in the racing days where, like, you know, everything to save weight, instead of just like removing it, decided to just go ahead and break that line right there. You know, just bend it until it broke, because apparently this fitting here is requires like a special tool to get that off. And so yeah, instead of, like, you know, getting the tool, just break it off and let Tom figure it out 25 years later. So that's a huge con, guys, because now that means that whole heater box assembly has to come out. And then from the videos that I watched, you actually have to cut that to get the evaporator core out. And hey, whatever, it might make some good content. I think this actually goes in the pro section. This car got me excited again, guys. You know, like, my blue car has gone so far so far in the left field, like, you know, that I can never work on it, you know, with the exception of maybe an oil change or something like that. But this car is actually, because it's so stock, it's something that I could actually wrench on and, you know, kind of feel that pride again of, you know, working on, you know, on my car. You know, maybe some new experiences too, because anyone who knows me knows that, you know, when it comes to the tough stuff on these cars, I always phone a friend. So anyway, I really want to get my hands dirty with this one. I do plan on making some, you know, videos of, you know, the progress along the way. And again, like I said, hopefully I'll get some experience and some of that pride of, you know, getting my hands dirty on this car, and not just paying somebody to do it for me. So anyway, you know, all of these things can be fixed. I'm not worried about it. For the most part, again, it's really clean. It's gonna, you know, once I get my hands into this car, I'm really gonna clean it up. It has great oil pressure. Again, it fires up every time, so no complaints there. You know, now we got to talk about the big con. This is a big one, guys. I'm gonna try and post a picture up here in the video, but apparently back in the day, the passenger side rear floor had a teeny tiny little rust hole that water was getting into. So rather than address that properly, what they did was they cut some small piece of steel material, very thin, and put it on top and just tack welded that, and then smeared it with some sort of sealer. It kind of looks like a silicone or something like that. I don't know what it is. I think it looks scarier than what it really is. But, you know, I am not going to mess around with that. I'm going to have that cut out and replaced. But for right now, I'm not too concerned about it. The floor is solid. It's fine. There's no holes visible or anything like that. It's just something that eventually is going to have to be addressed. Like I said, this is not a Barrett Jackson car. It's never going to be that. You know, but I do want to clean it up. I want to make it a nice, fun driver that's reliable with air conditioning, and also, you know, radio and possibly teach my wife how to drive stick with this car. The car, you know, these cars when they're stock are so forgiving. You know, the clutch is very forgiving. It's got a lot of slip in it, and you know, sometimes you don't even have to give it any throttle. You can just slowly take your foot off the clutch and it'll start moving on its own. So again, a lot of great, I think that the pros definitely outweigh the cons of this car. And again, for the price, like, I could not pass it up. So it's something that I can cruise around in right now, and you know, while my blue car is actually still being worked on. Another con currently is the brakes. Brakes are a little spongy. They're, you know, again, because of that leak that was there. Obviously some air got in the lines. I bought one of those reverse tool, the reverse brake bleed tools or whatever, where you just squeeze it and it actually pushes the brake fluid out through the master cylinder, so you're pushing instead of pulling. So I'm gonna work on that tomorrow, get the brakes sorted out. The e-brake doesn't really work. It was unhooked for 20 plus years. Probably the cables are bad, I don't know. But you know, when you pull it, it's just extremely tight now that it's been reconnected. So we're gonna have to address that. I have a kit to replace all that, not a problem. So yeah, so that's it, guys. You know, again, this is my 92 notchback, and always wanted one, especially red and primer. Joking. But no, I always wanted a red notchback with chrome ponies, and of course it's got to sit right. This thing kind of looks like a 4x4, but I think that this is the stock height. So we're going to take care of that. You know, again, let's take a look at what I've got here in the trunk, because I got a lot of goodies here. So let's check this out. All right, so this is like, I think, all the pieces to the brake kit. So that's a huge plus. This is the new harness for the stereo. This is the harness for the license plate bulbs, and also there's a bulb. Actually, I don't know where it mounts yet, guys. I'm gonna figure that out. But it mounts somewhere up here for the trunk. So I got that. Oh, here's the brake bleeder thing, in case any of you guys are interested. This is so you can, you know, do it by yourself. You don't need any help. I've also got all of the trim pieces here that are missing. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the trim for the rear window on these hatches is almost impossible to find, especially in good condition. You'd probably be looking at more than $500, maybe closer to $1,000. So anyway, I've got all that in here, and again, I don't want to really move too much stuff around, but here's the maximum lower control arms that I'm going to put on this car, because of the wheels here and the size. The quad shocks are off, but it's still running the stock lower control arms. So I know it's kind of a no-no. I'm really not ripping around in this car anyway, but I'm going to take care of that by putting those control arms on, and then also either cut the stock springs, or I'm going to buy the lowering spring kit from LMR and take care of that. What else? Oh, speaking of LMR, huge shout out to the guys over at LMR. I ordered this stuff on Wednesday, and they said that it was shipping the same day, which they did do for me. And a lot of you guys will agree with me that, you know, FedEx is usually the issue here. FedEx will tell you that it's going to be there in 2 days, and they always miss. However, shout out to, you know, again, LMR and FedEx for both getting everything done on time, so I can actually work on the car this weekend. All right, so before we go here, guys, let's just kind of summarize again what my plans are for this car. So while my blue car has been at the shop getting its transformation, it's, you know, we'll talk more about that in another video. But basically the car is going from cookie cutter to cookie monster. And I wanted to have something that I can actually drive for the times that either the blue car is in the shop, or just you know, I wanted something a little bit more tame to drive around. So yeah, so that's kind of the goal here, is to get this car cleaned up, get everything sorted out, put the trim pieces back on. I'm not going to worry about paint and bodywork right now. Not worried about it. I just want the car to be drivable and safe, and definitely work on getting the air conditioning put back in this thing. So, you know, before we go here, let's kind of take another quick little walk around and, you know, see what we got here. Yeah, she's pretty solid car here. Pretty straight too. Again, look at, you know. And I guess while we're here, let's go ahead and give her a little fire up here. And I'm gonna shut the door so you don't hear the ding ding. All right. That's mandatory, guys. You know that, right? Here we go. Look at that. Right to idle. I mean, so again, you know, this motor is stock from what I know, besides the intake on here. Supposedly it has 1.7 rockers. Other than that, it's all stock. And again, it's got those Mac mufflers. I think that there's a little bit of an exhaust leak. I'm gonna have to address that because, you know, when you start driving it, you definitely hear it, but listen to that. I don't know, guys, does it sound like it's got a cam in there? You know, being more than like 25 years, it's kind of questionable. When I was talking to my friend Evan, he doesn't think it's got a cam, but it kind of sounds a little choppy, so I don't know. All right, let's shut this thing off before it kills me here with the exhaust. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap things up here. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I know that I haven't been making any videos lately, guys. Life happens, right? But I'm back, and we are gonna talk more about this car, and definitely I am so excited to share with you the Cookie Monster when it's ready. It's coming, guys. I promise it's coming. Guys, the Street Car Shenanigans are really kicking ass right now, and we're all super excited to share that with you when it's ready. So, all right, guys, if you have any questions or comments about the video, post them down below. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.